Hello, it's Michelle with Books Cause Insomnia. I'm here to do a tag. Uh, this is the birth year book tag. I was tagged by my friend AJ with AJ Dunn Reads and Writes. I will put a link to their video and the video of the original creator down in the description box. I know I haven't been on here for a while. I've been trying to get used to the new home and unpack and deal with all the shopping of a new home and that kind of thing. I haven't done a whole lot in this library yet, but I did just finish my TBR bookshelf that I was putting together. So I'll put a picture up here so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to be putting all the books on there probably tonight so I can start actually filming in front of all my books instead of over here. And I wanted to mention something that's a little bit odd to me. It's snowing outside here in Vegas. It's been snowing off and on all morning, and it's not sticking on the ground, and it's just every few seconds I'll see a piece of snow fall. So it's not even snowing hard, but that's still kind of odd that it's snowing in Las Vegas at the end of February. Okay, I'll go ahead and get started with the book tag. Number one. Oh, I should probably mention the year that I was born. I was born in 1977, which is the same year that AJ, the one that tagged me, was born. So it'll be fun to see how different or similar our answers are. Number one, have you read any books published the year you were born? If so, which was your favorite and why? Do you pledge to read one in the next 6 months and why? I did do some digging and I have read The Shining by Stephen King and Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. Those both came out in 1977. I would say out of those two books, my favorite is The Song of Solomon. I've read that book quite a few times. There's a lot of things about that book that just really speak to me. And I hope to reread it sometime soon. I'm not sure with the amount of books I haven't read yet that I'm trying to read. I don't know when I'll get to it, but I would like to read it again. I will definitely be reading The Shining, though, in May. It's part of AJ Dunn's book club. So I do pledge to read one in the next 6 months. Have you read any books published the year you turned 18? Okay, I turned 18 in 1995. And I read a lot of books that were published that year. So I'll just to tell you a few of them, okay? The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. Kiss the Girls by James Patterson. The Rainmaker by John Grisham. The Liars Club by Mary Carr. Absolute Power by David Baldacci. Intensity by Dean Koontz. L is for Lawless by Sue Grafton. Let Me Call You Sweetheart by Mary Higgins Clark. On Gold Mountain by Lisa C. All That Glitters by V.C. Andrews. My favorite. I guess my favorite one out of those, I really loved Absolute Power. I have read that more than once, but I think my favorite of them is On Gold Mountain by Lisa C. That is a nonfiction book that she wrote about her family and their journey to America and their experiences before they got here and their experiences after they got here. I'm really into ancestry and family history, not just my own, but other people's. And so that book was really something that I loved. Number three, of the last 10 books you read, how many were published before you were born? 2 of the 10 were published before I was born. The Talented Mr. Ripley by Patricia Highsmith was written in the 50s, and Little Women by Louisa May Alcott was written in the 1800s. I don't know which specific year for each of them, but did you prefer them to newer books? No, I did really enjoy both books, and Little Women was a 5-star book for me. I really loved it. but I don't prefer them to newer books because while I think in a lot of ways we're the same as people were in the 50s or in the 1800s, life is so different now, though. I don't really relate as much as maybe I would have if I read them before the internet and technology took off the way it did. So I do prefer books that were written more recently. Number 4, what's your favorite movie from the year you were born and why? Well, my favorite one, the one I prefer to watch the most, is Saturday Night Fever. I love that movie. I love the music in that movie. I really like the Bee Gees. And I was a dancer for quite a few years, and I love dancing to disco music. But I think the most important movie from the year that I was born is Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. That movie really turned into so many other movies, books, shows. It's pretty important, I think. So I it's hard to say which one of them is my favorite. I don't tend to watch that one as much. When it comes to Star Wars, I tend to prefer the newer shows over the movies, but that doesn't mean I don't enjoy them, though. That's it. I don't know. That movie's quite the classic, though. It's hard to say. I like them both. Number 5. What is your favorite movie from the year you turned 18 and why? This is a really hard one. If someone were to ask me my 10 favorite movies of all time, 2 of them came out the year that I turned 18. So it's hard to answer, but my absolute favorite movie of all time came out that year, and that is the movie Seven. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a very dark, dismal movie with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, and I love that movie. It really is my favorite. I cannot watch it enough times. But Casino is in my top 10 favorite movies of all time as well, and I've also watched that one countless times. I love that movie, and I love the nod to Vegas, obviously, that's in that movie as well, since I live in Vegas and I love Vegas. But there's 3 other movies from that year that really stand out to me. There was actually a lot of good movies that came out that year, but Waiting to Exhale is one that I really love, and I've watched, I don't know how many, any of the ones I'm mentioning, I've watched quite a few times, but I really love Waiting to Exhale. For me, that's a classic. Leaving Las Vegas is another one that I really love. I don't know why I tend to really love dark movies for some reason, because that's a pretty depressing movie, but I love it. And of course, I also like that it takes place in Las Vegas. And then another one that I really enjoy that is not considered a top movie, a hit, or a classic, probably in anyone's mind but mine, is a movie that I watched countless times in 95 and a few years after. It just really resonated with me. And I think now if I watched it, I probably wouldn't even think it was good. But that movie was Mad Love with Drew Barrymore and Chris O'Donnell. I thought that movie was so good back then. I know the ratings are super low on it. I don't know if I like it now, but I thought it was something else back then. I even had the soundtrack. Of course, I had the soundtrack to Waiting to Exhale also. And then another movie, I didn't write it down, but Empire Records. My husband and I just watched it last night. And that's a fun movie from that year also. And that's another soundtrack that I owned. But then again, this tag isn't asking what soundtracks I own. But that is it. Those are all of my answers to the birth year book tag. Feel free to let me know your answers to any of these questions down in the description box. I would love to hear about the year you were born and what things stood out to you, and the year that you graduated and what stood out to you in that year as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night. Happy reading. Bye.